High school teachers, how aware of your students' drama were you? Any good stories? From my fiancée, who's a HS math teacher. Some guy starts bitching at a girl that she gave him a STD in front of the class. She goes to the bathroom, comes back, and throws a cup of liquid on him. It was her. I hear it, and yes, it's also obvious when two kids in my class either start or stop dating. The thing that creeps me out is the teachers who get obsessed with being up on everything. I know one who keeps a notebook and I swear she writes the gossip in there constantly. You need to steal that notebook. Teacher here. Yes and no. I had no idea my student was pregnant until she stood up one day in class and was clearly 6 months pregnant. But if you whisper anything in class, I hear you. And I don't forget. But if you whisper anything in class, I hear you. And I don't forget. That is quite possibly the most terrifying thing I've read today. Well, I remember a sophomore discussing with her friend during break how she was going to get a threesome for her boyfriend for his birthday. I thought, how times have changed. Threesomes are the new blowjob. Apparently. If that's the case, I cannot wait for my birthday. I volunteered at a boarding school in rural India. We had some pretty strict rules, i.e., absolutely no dating, to be culturally appropriate, and make sure none of our students' parents freaked out that we were indoctrinating them with Western ideals or whatever. Nonetheless, we knew all the couples. Who liked who. Which students were gay but didn't know it yet. My favorite was this one boy who all the girls had a crush on. I was a substitute teacher's assistant for a while. One teacher I worked for told me about overhearing a conversation between two 5th graders. One kid was always trying to act tough and say we was in a gang. He was telling another boy about his weekend and how he was smoking and beating people up and being a general badass thug. The other boy responded, yeah. But ya can't read. Literacy is far more important than gang banging. My mum teaches at a fairly dodgy high school in the town next to ours, and yes, teachers always know about drama. And they talk about it really. She's going out with him? She could do better. My favorite story was when she broke up a fight between two 15-year-old boys and was told that one of the boys had gone to the other's birthday party, got drunk and got with his mum. Not his own mum. Did he think he was on Xbox Live? I came into history class baked a few times. On one occasion, my teacher slowly walks up to my desk. Looking at me, he stops, dramatically sniffs the air, looks at me, and smiles. In French, he says, "Salut. How you feeling today?" Full stop. Me. Oh, pretty good, I guess. Him. Yay. I wish I could feel like that today. Teachers know everything about students' drama. My chem teacher knew more gossip than I did. Did you hear about Becky? Her parents are gone. Highly aware. One of the schools I long-term subbed at, 3 months, a bunch of the senior boys and girls went to Florida for spring break. At some point during their partying and hooking up, someone contracted a nasty case of crabs. Since their relationships were weirdly incestual, partner swapping, not sibling business, all 12 of them wound up with the pubic dwellers. The real drama began when they got back to school and tried to deny the rumors, shift blame from one person to the other. Many laughs were had in the teacher's lounge. I intentionally make seating charts that put specific guys and girls next to each other on the off chance that they'll talk and find a common interest. I'm sure this has made a bunch of SAP moments. But a few kids have made new friends or even started dating because of it. My mom is a teacher at a small rural high school. Since it's so tiny, news travels really fast. And since she's one of the cool teachers, students routinely straight up tell her really inappropriate stories. The top story I can think of is that she heard one of her students was working at the local strip club. She came from a very hard home life. So this was actually a really sad and not very funny occurrence. It got weirder, though. when she heard a few weeks later that the girl got fired for being too depressing. Student teacher here. Some of my 9th graders have had sex with more people than I have. And I'm almost 30. Commas say they have had sex with more people. FTFY. My husband says the awareness of the drama comes and goes. The big stuff definitely he's aware of. But usually he doesn't give a about who is dating whom. So he doesn't pay attention. He may say that. But who cares who Billy the star quarterback is asking to prom? He cares. I was a high school substitute at 21 years old. It was the funniest thing ever coming in and having the full-time teachers fill me in on the latest drama at breakfast. There was this old retired colonel and he was telling me how a girl was upset because she got asked to prom by 2 boys but she really wanted this other boy and she was really upset. I just started laughing and he looked at me like he had been giving some actual lecture. We know everything. First, because you can't whisper for I hear everything you think you are whispering to your neighbor. Second, students like to gossip. And they gossip not just to other students but to teachers as well. It doesn't matter that I don't want to know this. There is still someone there telling me about it the next morning. Third, teachers are bigger gossips. It may be you got into Harvard. You broke up with your boyfriend of 3 years. You were caught smoking on campus or caught cheating. A teacher will probably tell me about it. For God's sake, shut up. I don't want to know anything. I'm a guy. I worked with hearing impaired students specifically. And often one-on-one. Somehow this resulted in me becoming the older male confidant of many a teenage high school girl. My God. The drama. Every single day. He said. She said blah. 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 Oh. My God. Sheila tried to friend me on Facebook. Can you believe it? Now. Don't get me wrong. I never thought any of my students were or stupid. Or anything like that. Just teens being teens. And I'm happy they get to grow up relatively sheltered because it's a big, dark world out there. Still. I don't know how I ever found high school girls appealing when I was a student. 5 minutes of chatting with them now makes me want to bash my head into a brick wall. My mom is a high school teacher. I'm a college student now. I had lunch with my mom and some other teachers in the teachers lounge one day. They talk about everything. And they know everything you've done. Everything. As a drama teacher, I'd say I was pretty aware of it. On one hand, I definitely know things they don't know that I know. Friends reference. While overhear conversations about having a stupid fight with their boyfriend. That they skipped their morning classes. Etc. I'm aware which seniors party on the weekends and which ones don't. However, it always amazes me when I find out student experiences that I was completely in the blue about, when a great girl who did well in school told me her mother tried to commit suicide a year ago and she's been keeping her from doing it since. Finding out a flaky student of mine is the father of 2. When parents are the ones who won't wake up in time to take their kids to school. And that's why they're frequently late. So it just depends. I'd say I'm pretty highly aware. Students, especially middle schoolers, are incredibly indiscreet when talking to peers. I think my favorite stories have to be from a girl who I had in class last year who's a compulsive liar. Among the many lies she told, some of the more memorable ones were as follows. She's pregnant. She wasn't. And she was confused later in the year as to why everyone was calling her a close bracket. She broke up with Deonte because she has an identical twin sister who she sometimes switches places with. And he cheated on her with her twin. I later asked her if the reason she never has her homework is because her twin was the one in class when it was assigned. Close bracket. Over the weekend, her dad was shot in the street. And she ran 10 miles so she could be with him while he died in her arms. Called mom. Wasn't true. She was grounded that weekend and in her room watching TV the entire time. Also, dad's alive and well. Living 3 hours away. Close bracket. At least I can't say that my job isn't interesting. pretty aware. My first year teaching, another teacher intercepted a note and told me I needed to read it. It was between two students, a boy and a girl. Both were dating other kids, and in the note they were talking about losing their virginity and what they had done so early. The boy described everything in detail, at the local mall's shipping area, truck stop, BJS at the movies, etc. The girl's response was the thing that appalled me, and I still remember exactly what she wrote to this day. "We have done everything possible except on each other's chests." Oh. Did I mention that they were 8th graders? SMH. My math teacher always threatened to intercept our notes and read them out to the class. When he finally did, he intercepted a note I wrote that just said, "Hey Brittany, I'm sure Mr. Taylor is going to read this note aloud. I just wish he'd do it in a British accent." He did. She wouldn't on his chest? Prude. My best friend's dad is a chemistry teacher, and she told me that all of the science teachers refer to one student as asshole because he is an asshole. I just love the hilarious idea of my role model science teacher nicknaming students with profanities in the teacher's lounge. My mom is a kindergarten teacher. Yesterday Chase stole Audrey's crayons and Audrey called him a kindergartner. My dad's a teacher. Kids, your teachers always know what you talk about in class. Always. Thinking back to all the dumb I said in class makes me wonder if I was actually Ed. Pre-K drama is wonderful. 2. From last week. Crystal, Samantha, and Bianca enter stage left. Crystal. Teacher. Monique says she's going to tell on us. Lastras. What happened? Crystal. She's gonna tell because we don't like purple. Monique. Looks over. Deer in the headlights. Unaware of the grievous accusations being levied against her. Needless to say, I mediated a Jerry Springer style catfight within 2 minutes of the above. TL. Dr. Precray. So you could also say my early period classes. The teachers knew how ridiculously stoned I was every day? Yes. They were probably jealous. Some of my students are so obviously stoned. Smell like weed. Talk about weed. There's nothing we can really do about it anyway, at least at my school. So. My GF works at a daycare. She says all the little kids talk about everything their parents do. Everything. Those little eyes are watching you. And that little mouth is telling the daycare teacher every weird little thing you do. I'm not a teacher. But I had a teacher in my final year who rented a house to 3 of his students. Said teacher was called during the housewarming party because someone burst the radiator. He then came by to help clean it up. Still wearing a suit because he was in a meeting. As all of his students scrambled to hide their alcohol. I heard that you had an abortion. I try to show you support without letting you know I know. I heard that your dad hit you. We talked about it. You turned down the offer to stay with me. Stuck it out for your sisters. Gave up and moved in with mom. I heard that you have a baby at home. I understand when you don't make it to school and try to be flexible so you can get your work done. I heard your parents are getting divorced and you are moving. Gave you my contact info so you can let me know if you need me. I heard your dad died of cancer. So much loss and pain. I lost my mom to cancer too. I heard you were out partying. Remind you to use a designated driver. Thanks for the gold. I didn't even understand what it was at first. Kind of new to Reddit. I appreciate it. Don't worry students. Wherever you may be. Jean Jane is watching over you. Did anyone just have a normal school life? You know. Keep your head down. Pearl and B's on most tests. Have a few close friends. Watch TV. Play in a band or 2. I can't believe I missed out on some of this. I must have been really unobservant. We, my group of friends, pretty much just tell our favorite teacher most of the dumb stuff we do. She either doesn't believe us, think we're Ed, or that we're just trying to be funny. Then she makes good-natured jokes at our expenses. She's great. Every school has a teacher or two like that, who everyone shares gossip with. At my high school the teachers got more drunk than we did our parties. It was weird. Well yeah. They have to put up with your. Once heard a girl bragging that they could fit half a penis in her own nose. Still curious about that. I teach at an alternative high school. And my class is known for being one of the few places where everything is fair game. Everything. I've talked about everything from drug use, both soft and hard. Family problems. Relationship problems. Sexuality problems. And everything in between. I've debated, counseled, and discussed. But more than anything I've listened. What teenagers want, more than anything, is to be listened to. They are developing the part of their brain that processes decisions. And they want to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. I think that is one thing most parents don't understand. Teenagers don't want to be told what to do because they want to figure that out. I could tell a few stories, but to be honest, I expect my comment will be buried. But if I get enough interest, I'll write one down. I'll stay away from the deeply personal stories. I'll just write down the stupid high school stuff, and there is lots of it. I used to teach at a mid-sized suburban high school out in California. To be honest, I never paid much attention to what was going on with the kids since they seemed so transient. There were always a couple of them disappearing without any notice. But no one ever really cared. And there were always new students taking their place. The only thing I ever really saw that stood out was what seems like an unusually close relationship between a transfer student and a member of the faculty. I couldn't say for sure that it was inappropriate. But she sure did spend a lot of time in his office. Even after school hours. All in all, it was actually a pretty good job. Right up until the mayor turned into a giant snake and ate Principal Snider. I hear you, students, swearing. I hear about your parties. I know you got drunk this weekend. I've heard who you last slept with. I've heard how you moved to a different town and should be going to that school but are still here. I've heard how your parents are abusing you and I've reported it. I heard how you want to be up so and so because they have no swag and stole your girlfriend. I also hear it from the other teachers and students. Word to the wise. Stop talking about it in school. When I was 17, I was in law class, drawing on my crush's back with my fingertips. My most awesome teacher yelled designate. Fondle him after class. I was mortified. And I kinda want to go back to high school to tell that teacher that 13 years later. I'm happily married to that crush. And I fondle him whenever I want. Edit. Whoa. You guys. Thanks for the karma. You're all a bunch of romantics. Aren't you? Your teacher had a point. Everything. And no good stories. Because it is high school drama. Every party needs a pooper, that's why we invited you. Party pooper. Party pooper. This one time at band camp. Hey. That is true. I've been a teacher for 5 years now in Dallas. I have so many stories. A 9th grader had a miscarriage on campus and told me first. I took her to the nurse. Homeless kid lived with me for about 4 months until he graduated. A student of mine got killed running across the highway when his pants fell down and he tripped. 3 of my other students saw it happen. The funeral was tough. Many of the students were half siblings or cousins and didn't know about it. One particular student that I was close to dated a girl for about a year before he was looking at her family albums and they figured out they were cousins. I had a student who accidentally killed his best friend on graduation night while they were checking out his dad's gun and it accidentally discharged. I could write a book with just 5 years experience. Just looking casually for my teacher here. Bowls. Detention. I hope not. We hear everything. Not a teacher. But this girl I knew sucked a dude's dick right in the hall. She got expelled. He got suspended. Edit. The good old double standard. The penis game. Teachers always hear that. They're just immature and think it's funny too. True story. Penis 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 penis. Not a direct answer to the question, but an answer nonetheless. My friend's mom works at a middle school as a librarian. As a librarian, she has access to view what the kids are watching on their computer screen. She was telling me how one time she was checking up on the student's screen when she noticed a blob of blue on one computer screen. She was going to ignore it, but her curiosity got the best of her. Turns out the kid was watching Smurf PRN. She confronted the student, turned him into the principal. They ended up having to have a parent-teacher conference about it. TL. Doctor, my friend's mom looked at a student's computer screen and witnessed Rule 34 in action. Whoa. Teachers are people too? Not a teacher, but I feel this story is sort of relevant. Back in high school I wasn't popular, so I was only in on the nerd drama. One time in stats I was assigned to a group with some gossipy popular girls. And I learned that not only did one of the more popular guys in the class have genital herpes, but that the teacher was aware of it. Apparently I had been totally oblivious and had missed a moment in stats where our teacher had said, "And some people have herpes." The teacher has apparently looked directly at the popular boy who had herpes, and the guy had turned beet red. What an terrible teacher. My teacher is a meth cook. He once overheard me talking about his recipe. Yo. Mr. White. No.